Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in again. I do have to say I am sorry I did not post anything last week. I just got super busy and, honestly, a little bit lazy to get up and set up the podcast. But I am back again, and I want to do a little bit of a shout out. We got some new listeners in, so I do appreciate that. We got La Habra, Fontana. We got Ashburn, Virginia. We have LA. We have Boardman, Oregon. And we have Clarksville, Tennessee. So I really appreciate everybody that tuned in the episode 3, which was about 2 weeks ago, maybe 12 days ago, so almost at 2 weeks. So really do appreciate you coming in. What I noticed is that through the source that I'm using to post the podcast and make it live is that I'm a little cheap right now. Obviously, I don't know where this podcast is going. I appreciate the views, but I didn't want to pay for the monthly subscription to get the add-ons. So I just wanted to kind of give my information out there. So hopefully you're listening to this 3-minute intro. You guys can always reach me on social media. So if you want to reach me on my real estate page, you can on Instagram. That's cvr.realty. So C like Caesar, V like Victor, and then R like restaurant, and then realty, .realty. If you guys want to go ahead and email me any feedback, any questions, you guys can reach me at CRocha, so that's CROCHA at KW.com. That's my real estate email that you guys can reach me at. So that's what I'm going to primarily be using for this. Don't worry, you won't get any spam or anything like that. It's just an email address. Just email me and you'll get my information, But yeah, I just wanted to address that first. So 2 weeks ago, we were kind of talking about the car business, where it's going to go, where it's going to end up. And then we were talking about a little bit about real estate as well. So kind of want to hear some of your little feedback from that past episode. What did you guys learn? Any takeaways from that? Other than that, I want to talk about a little bit more about me in the beginning here before we dive into some other things. It's been definitely an interesting 12 days since the last podcast. I'm blanking again, so after that last car deal, I haven't really had anything generating. I was working with a friend of mine that has moved out of the States, but they were kind of shopping for the parents. So I was working on that, did my follow-up, said that they're still looking around, and that's just kind of how it goes. People in the car business, you guys are there to provide quotes, you guys are there to make appointments and to bring customers in, but the old saying goes, buyers are liars, and sometimes we don't always get them. Even if we follow up with them all the time, we just don't get them. It's maybe something on their part. Maybe they're not ready, which is totally okay. We move on to the next one. It's sales. It's a numbers game. We just move on to the next one. Other than that, just been hanging out with the wife. We've been doing a lot of family things, family gatherings. We've been going to the gym. My wife got a little bit sick this past week. And sorry, I was supposed to turn that off. Give me one quick second. There we go. Now it's on Do Not Disturb. I thought I had taken care of that. Wife was a little sick, but that was later in this past week, and kind of dragged into the weekend a little bit. So we kind of just stayed in a little bit. Also, who were you guys going for, Canelo or Crawford? I was not expecting Crawford. I really didn't know a lot about him, but damn, that boy showed up. He literally showed up, fixed or not. I don't know. Canelo just seemed confused. He just couldn't get his one-off punches. Crawford's counters were just always there. It was a really good fight. And I think two fights before that one. I think it was the Irish guy and then the Guatemalan guy, and then there was one before that. Man, those boys were duking it out. That was crazy. That was literally insane. So it was a good fight, especially on Netflix. It was actually pretty good. I kind of got tired of seeing freaking Mr. Beast and Dana White in the front, but I mean, I can't choose the audience. So, but yeah, it was a good time. So for me personally, I've been obviously trying to get more prospects for real estate. People that are listening, if you're interested in buying something, if you're interested in information, cities of what's happening, if you're interested in talking with a lender to see how much you can get approved for, if you don't even know where to start to think about buying something, let me know. Hit me up, send me a message. Instagram, I'm on TikTok too. I think most of my social media handles are cvr.realty. So if you look it up, or if you just look up me, Cesar Rocha at like Keller Williams, I think I've done a good job to make my Google search with all my information on there. So just hit me up and go from there. What else have I been doing? I haven't done any open houses. I should. I know I need to, but sometimes I think I've talked about this as well. It's like some things are kind of stale. Maybe it's just the opportunity for me to go out there and try to get that customer, right, that comes through that door. Maybe it's just me being out there. But I did help out a agent yesterday. She was busy. She asked me if I can go show her client some property. And so I agreed to it, and she'll pay me a little bit for my time and gas, and it was nice. I went down to Lake Elsinore. If you've never been there, I would definitely check it out. It's a very unique city. I see a lot of new builds over there that are going on, and so it was really nice. And the houses, one was good, one was really nice. I was like, dang, this thing is, for this price, it was nice. I think it was like $550. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath. I think the lot was like 0.36 acres, which is pretty big. And it was nice. It was cozy for sure. The neighborhood, a little different out there, but it was fine. I would definitely keep that in mind. Even like Temecula, that's a nice little area right there that has like a lot of little pockets. I'm a Pachanga, goer. I go a couple times a year with my wife and her family, and that's a nice area out there. And it's not far at all. It's like an hour 15 drive, so it's really not that bad. Other than that, I've just been trying to prospect. Oh, I brought my book out. I think I showed you this in the beginning. Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount. I'm like 3/4 of the way done. I have like a little tag in there. My reading has kind of slowed down. I've been feeling a little stuck, but I'm doing it, in progressions. Like I'll sit down, I'll read like 5 to 7 pages. I'll just, finish that up. Later on in the day, I'll pick it up again. To be honest, sometimes I'll read it in the restroom, instead of being on my phone in there. I'll be like, let me get like 2 pages out. Boom, there's another 2 pages. You want to do it in little steps. I was talking to my friend on TikTok that, he's starting his kind of like his book page or like book talk. And I asked him, I was like, how are you reading so many books so fast? Like I can barely finish this one book. And he's like, you gotta, in the beginning, you gotta kind of make it like a little game and, start by little tasks, like chop it down. So my goal is to finish this book by the end of the month. And I actually had that goal last month and I didn't achieve it. But this month I'm on track, so I'll probably finish it before that. And then I have another book that I want to pick up and read. But I've been doing that. I've been doing some prospecting. Now the way I did prospecting this past month, up to like today's date, was I sent out a post on Nextdoor because I see a lot of people in my area looking for rentals, and I was like, you know what, let me just see what I can get. And I'm not an agent per se that will help renters find something. I would be open to it, but I just think the payoff for something like that, it just may not be best for my time. But anyways, I put out a post there. I was, helping people just locate rentals. I wasn't asking for anything in return. It's just purely information, purely just setting up a search for them and, showing them what's available on my MLS, right? So everything else on Zillow, Redfin, if the owners are doing it, it won't show up on my side. It's literally only agents that have rentals that'll be up there and populated. So I got some good feedback off of that. Had some good conversations. People really enjoyed that help. And you know what? Now they know me, right? So now they have my information. They have my email address, everything like that. So, that was pretty good. And I really enjoyed that. I got a little nervous though, because I was like, oh shoot, like I had one gentleman like, okay, like I like this property. What are the next steps? And I've never done a lease for a client before. So I was getting a little nervous just thinking about it, like the steps. But then at the end of the day, I was like, well, you know what? So what? I'm eventually probably going to do one. And why shouldn't it be now? But that didn't really go through. The property, they already had found a renter, apparently, from the listing agent. So that was fine. But I was open to it and, just trying to see what I can do. But that was a good way of prospecting. I mean, I feel like a Nextdoor can be utilized a lot for actually helping people, and that's kind of where I want to come out as, like, somebody that people know, right? What else did I do? I made a newsletter per se, kind of like a resume, but not really, and it's going to go around my area over here in La Habra. So if you received one, cool beans. If you didn't like it, sorry, you can throw it away. But it was just pretty much telling them that I have like two areas of expertise, real estate and auto brokering, and I kind of gave some bullet points of what I do for both of those, and just kept it open and inviting. And I think I mailed out last week about 70 flyers, and yeah, it is a bit time consuming. Yes, mail is like lower on the prospecting list, but at the same time, it's all about being consistent. So if I'm going to be staying in this area for a while, which me and my wife do like La Habra, we feel like it's a really good area. Why not just keep this going for months, years at a time? Eventually, something's going to come out of it, and all that mail that I sent out will be repaid in that one deal. So, I think stamps right now at Costco, they're like $73 for 100. And so I think I'm going to try to do at least 200 pieces of mail a month. That may seem a little bit low, but honestly, it's, like I said, time-wise. And yeah, a little bit of the money. Like, I haven't done a deal, but I did 2 broker deals, like the auto broker one. So essentially, all the stamps I bought this year were just paid off by that one broker deal. So I mean, go figure. So now I'm like back at zero for my expense. Guy math, girl math. So that was another way. And then I kind of changed that format from that newsletter, and I shortened it up, cleaned it up a little bit. Didn't do it like about neighborhood, but I did it like more of a friend thing. And then I started texting that to my past clients as well. Like, hey, I just wanted to update you on some of the things I'm doing. Here's the information, and just leave it at that. This book really is really big on phone calls and how phone calls aren't dead. I don't know the year that this came out, but I don't think it's like super old, to be honest. I don't think it's super old at all. But yeah, phone call is one of the best ways to prospect, and people say it's a dying prospecting tool. I don't believe that to be true, because I've done a lot of phone calls in car sales, in real estate. I've done thousands of them, literally like probably tens of thousands of phone calls. And yeah, sometimes you have a day where nobody answers. Sometimes the leads are not I shouldn't even say the leads, because it's really just dialing the calls, right? If you're sitting at home, or if you're working from home from a company, or if you're at the dealership, or if you're an agent, there's a lot of phone calls to be made. And this book really talks about like just the rejection of that, and so getting that no. So I've done it. Am I doing it currently right now? No, but I am calling a lot of recent prospects. So I've had like 2 phone calls with the ones from next door. I literally, just before I got on here, I had a phone call with a family friend thinking about buying, and then open house leads. I think those ones, because they're so hot, I think you kind of have to call them. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been keeping in touch, and you never know. Some of the older ones, yes. Some of your close past clients, yes, call them, see how they're doing. Once a quarter, that'll be great. I don't think you have to call everybody, and because I also feel like phone calls good, right? Yeah, they don't answer, but at the same time, it's like, if you text them, like they'll have that text. You can see most of the time if they read it or not. So I'm a big text person. I'm a big email person, social media, mail. I think, yes, if I start putting phone calls back on the list, possibly might have a bigger change in my business. But at the same time, I'm trying to do everything else as well. And to be honest, yes, there's a lot of time where I'm not doing a lot of things, but I feel like I did, or I feel like I've done A, B, and C, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good for like today. But last week, I kind of got a little bit lost, but I really focused on that mail because at least I did something. And that's kind of big, because if you feel like you weren't productive today, well, what is something that you could do? Can you post something? Can you create something, some type of marketing on Canva to get ready to do it, right? Can you, just reach out to a few people, see how they're doing? You got to do at least something. We cannot be consistent all the time. Like I said, I'm here for the average, mediocre type of salesperson. I'm not going to be out here and just be like, you got to be number one, all that stuff. That's not me at all. And if it does happen in the future, then it happens. But at this moment, it's not. But we just got to keep trying. We got to keep doing it. You don't want to make a phone call? Don't have to make a phone call, but you should at least try. Do 10 phone calls a day. Most likely 8 of them aren't going to answer. 2 of them probably will. And then what are you going to say? You should have something ready to go. Not really a script, because there are some bad scripts out there, but it just depends on what you're calling for, So that's a little bit about me. We're not going to dive too much into business-y today, but I kind of want to just be out here and talk a little bit and keep this going. Let me see how much time. I think we were at like another 10 minutes or so. But yeah, let's have some conversation. Let's do a little bit of a story time. Let's see here. What's a good story from back in the days? So when I was in the car business, when I first got into the sales floor, transitioning from BDC, I was always pretty much the managers just told me, just stay outside, talk to every customer that comes in, don't care about what the other guys are doing. And I was like, okay, I'll do that because you're my leader and I'm going to follow you and I'm going to listen to what you said. So I remember one time I was standing at the point, and the point is, the point honestly could be anywhere you make it. How do I explain the point? The point is somewhere where you stand in a general area and you're waiting for clients, and that's where the point is. So it depends too on your dealership, on your layout, what the point could be like. Maybe they have a generalized point. Our store used to have many points because there was just so many different corners to our dealership where you can be on one side and that could be the point for that few hours. Or if it was too sunny, we can move over to this side and then that would be the new point. But essentially too is the point could also be where everybody's standing. So you can't be like there's 5 people over here and then you come on this side, and then you have to be all in the same general area because of the fairness of calling that client coming in. So anyways, so I remember it was in the summer, and I just transitioned to the sales floor, maybe springtime too, but I know it was a little bit warm. And so I was on one shaded side of the point, and I was just, watching the traffic pretty much, like cars coming in. I would stand up right away to see where they're going, right? Sometimes if you go straight, like if you come into our dealership and you just go straight in, you're on the service side. If you make that first right, you're either going to parts or sales. So that's where it was. So I remember standing out there at least for a good 45 minutes, like just sitting out there. I took one customer. They were just for service, so I just let them in, whatever. And I remember this older salesman. He had only really just started working at the dealership for a year, maybe 2 years. He was an okay salesman. He wasn't the best. It's not for everybody, really. But anyways, he came in, or he came outside, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you come on inside with the rest of us?" And I'm sitting here like this, I'm like, "Oh no, I think I'm just gonna stay outside for a bit longer." And then he kind of went back inside, but then turned around and came back outside, and he was like, "Are you sure? You don't want to come in with the rest of us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Thanks though." And he's like, and then he starts going with the reason of why he wants me to come in. He's like, if all of us are inside, you just can't be out here by yourself and take call the ups. And I was like, well, from per the managers, if I'm outside, I have first dibs because I'm standing out here or sitting out here in the heat versus air conditioner. And I was like, isn't that right? And he's like, that's right, but he's like, also, if we're all inside, he's like, it's more fair to for you to be inside too. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, I don't want to be inside. I want to try to take ups and talk to customers. And he kind of got a little pissy, and then he just walked away. And then half an hour later, I did come inside and just hung out as well, and did my thing. But that was one of my first interactions with, not really a confrontation, but somebody telling me how to do my job. And eventually that guy ended up quitting and, obviously not lasting. But, there's a lot of people, a lot of salesmen that, think they were, hot shit and had a lot of egos. And when I first got in there, probably a lot of you, we're just there to learn in the beginning. We're excited. We're doing the actions that the senior people are telling us, or the more well seasoned people are telling us, and we're just going for it. And I also remember at that time, and which was probably 2017, we did not have a turnover store. Essentially, I don't really remember how it went down, but I remember that all salesmen had the chance of closing all their own deals. Meaning, you go to the desk, they give you the Foursquare, a literal Foursquare, and then you go back out, you come back with as much information as possible, and then you go back out again. And then usually by the third time, if you couldn't close it, either they would come out, or I would take them to the tower, or maybe another salesman would jump in and try to close it. And I remember the first big. So in sales, you always want to go big versus start small, because we want to maximize our profit. And so I had this Japanese sales manager. And he's been in the car business since he was literally 18, literally 18 years old. And at that time he was probably 30 something, maybe in his young 30s. And he was just a boss. He knows the car world in and out, and he just knows how to submit deals, everything. He's a boss. He's a G. So anyways, he gives me the Foursquare. Really quick, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Foursquare, it's a sheet of paper, and it has like a cross through it, and usually they'll do like down payment, price of the car, trade in if you have it, and then they'll do the payment, and then they'll usually do like 60 or 72 months based off the down payment. Now everything's high just to start off. Like the price is the price, right? It's 30,000, but then it'll show like a $5,000 down payment, and then it would be like going to the actual payment, and the payment just doesn't make sense. Like if you just do the math, you're like, this is like a $70,000 car, right? And it's crazy. So anyways, he gives me the Foursquare, and he's like, no. He's like, don't turn it over. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, why can't I turn it over? Like, how am I supposed to like prepare myself like from this moment until the next like 2 minutes by the time I get to the thing? He's like, no. He's like, don't worry about that. He's like, why don't you guys just be surprised together? And I'm like, what do you mean surprised? He's like, just stop. Just go out there and if you need help, like, we'll get you help. And I'm like, okay, like, let's go. So I'm like, I grab the paper. He's like, don't turn it over. And I just like, put it, and I'm just walking, and I'm like, hey guys, so here we go. You guys like the car, all the stuff, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's what we have for you. Flip it over. And I look, I first glance at it, and my brain's already like, do. Like, why is the payment so high? Why is the down payment like freaking like $10,000? Why is the car like 50? I was like, what the hell's going on here? So then it's like, turn it over, so we have your down payment, this, and this. And, sometimes people would look at it and be like, what the heck is this? And then, you have to kind of work them. Be like, okay, so like based off this is your payment. Like, well, how'd you come up with this payment? Like, how did you, like, this is like so, like, it's so high. And it's like, oh, okay, like, so, well, because of the price and, interest and the taxes and everything like that, well, then, so it depends too. Like, if you say that, they're going to be like, well, what's the total price of the car? So sometimes you have to, like, kind of, Foursquares are very unique, so you have to know, what they're going to say first. And usually you don't even want to say anything first. You'd be like, here it is, price, down payment, this is the payment. Do you guys want to use credit card, cash? How are you guys going to be paying for the down payment? Then you just be quiet. Clients thinking, the processing. And then, at that point, you're just waiting for a response. You kind of do want to just be quiet and see what's going to happen. They could be like, well, the payment's too high. Okay, like, what kind of payment are you looking for? Like, what were you expecting, right? Or, based off, whatever. There's so many ways to do it. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is the right way, but, just generalize, like, oh, what's the payment should be? Oh, I think in the payment should be something like this. Oh, okay, that's not a problem. So are you open to putting more money down? Things like that. So I remember this one night. Another little side story. I remember it literally, it was crazy. I am still like greenish. I'm excited that I have a late night deal. I remember it's a mom, the daughter, and maybe the boyfriend or something like that. And like I've already knew like they just had a day. Like they did not want to be at the car dealership, but they needed to buy a car. And I think it was a Hyundai Elantra GT hatchback. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And then they loved it. They liked me. They want to sit down and do the everything, right? So I'm like, okay. The same manager, the Japanese guy, he gives me the thing. And he's like, no, don't look at it. Don't look at it. He's like, come on. He's like, don't look at it. Just go over there. Just be surprised. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go and like I flip it over, tell him everything. Boom, 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 boom. And then the mom looks up to me and she goes, okay then, yeah. I'm like, okay, so like you're good with, the down payment. Okay, perfect, awesome. And then, awesome, so then it'll be this payment then, and then you're going to be doing cash or card. And my heart's like, don't. I was like, what the hell did she just say? She just said yes on the first pencil? Like, this is crazy. Like, I don't even know what the gross is on this deal, but I just know, like, I was like, what the fudge? So then I go back and I'm like, okay, not a problem. Like, okay, all right, I'll wrap everything up for us. Like, I'll get this going. I'll be right back. Took the Foursquare, went back to the thing. I slammed it down. Not like slammed it, but I put it down, and then my manager looks up. What do you got? And I was like, okay. They said okay, and he was like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, everything you have here is fine. They said okay. Huh? What? And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh shit. And then, they get into that. You seen those memes where it's like you're just like chilling like on the couch, and then it's like, a certain part of a movie or something, and then you get like really focused and you sit up. That's how he was. He was like, oh shit, okay, blah 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 blah. True story. Then this is the only time I've ever seen it. First pencil, say yes. Take it to the manager. He's like, oh shit. He gets it approved at the max value he can get it approved. Once he did that, he's like, okay, tell them that they came and they got the late night special and that we're going to help them out and we're going to discount a little bit for them, And I was like, what? And he was like, there's too much money in the deal. I can't get it approved with this much more money. It was crazy. But he still maximized. He maximized the gross as best as he could. But there was just too much gross that he couldn't get it approved. Based off whatever, their credit, income, whatever. So he just did the max. And I think the payment was like 30 or 40, $50 less. I forget what it was, but I was like, hey guys, like, you know what? Like, we really appreciate you coming in. Like, we want to help you guys out, definitely. So you actually, you guys came at a good time. My manager's going to, whatever I said, right? They're going to use coupons or whatever, and they're going to be able to help you out on the payment. So the down payment's still the same. It's just, we adjusted your payment, blah, blah, blah. And their mom was like, that's great. Like, she had a smile on, and I was like, okay, I'll wrap everything up. I'm gonna take it to the back. I'll be right back. Get you the books and keys. Boom. That was crazy. It was the only thing I've ever experienced. But at that time, yeah, I mean, closing deals was it's difficult. Dealing with the client, going back and forth, trying to find what's going to work out for both. I mean, because they're testing you, I'm testing them to see how much I can get out of them. They're testing me to see how much they can get out of me. And that's why I like the auto broker a lot too. It just simplifies things. If you don't want to deal with like the salesman at the car dealership, you don't want to hassle with like the negotiation and doing all that stuff. The auto brokering is really great because I'm the middleman. Client talks to me, then I talk to the dealership. Dealership gives me the information, and then I get that information. I take it back to my client. Client's happy. They're okay with it, or maybe it's out of their budget, whatever. We got to restructure some things, figure it out, and it makes it easy. We go to the dealership. It's one guy. He has the whole package, finance, everything. Everything's already printed out. You test drive the car, you look at the car, make sure there's no scratches, no dents, and boom, sign the paperwork. You're on your day. You're on your way. Have a good day. So if you guys need home, if you guys need auto, just go ahead and let me know. That's what I was going to tell you guys too. Sorry, it just came back to my mind. That's what I was busy with last week as well. Monday, I went to take a notary class and test. And that was definitely quite an experience. The class was good. The class was like 6 hours. A lot of information. They made it fun. They did promise that we were going to have time to like review and study before the test. That part didn't happen. And that's where I was like, oh shit. Like, how are you going to go through all 6 hours of this and we don't even get a chance to review anything, and now you're just going to like whip out the test? It was crazy. And I haven't got the results yet back, but I don't think I passed. And if I didn't pass, I'll just try it again. But, I really don't think so. I don't know if it's me just mentally, like, downing it so I don't get my hopes up and then, like, it comes back. But I just really didn't feel confident. I was telling my wife. And that's what I did on Tuesday, too. Had some time, hung out with the boys. We went to Topgolf. We hit some balls. We ate some food. We went to a restaurant after. And then we came home. And that was really great. So that was my Monday and Tuesday. So I didn't really do much then. And then Wednesday was when my wife had gotten sick, and so that was kind of like, or she started feeling sick, and so yeah, it was just it's a lot. But always have time for your loved ones, have time for your close friends. Get out there, set up a day where you guys can hang out and just do something chill. It doesn't have to be all crazy and wild, Get out of the group chat, as they say. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you guys listening again. Reach out to me on social media, cvr.realty. Email me, crocha@kw.com. Let's follow each other. Let's get some viewerships on I'm Blanking. Let's get some more. You guys can subscribe. I have it on YouTube. It's I'm Blanking Podcast or something like that. You'll see the symbol, everything there too. So everything will be loaded up. I'm really trying to get it video. I am recording right now, and I'm trying not to mess it up because last time I recorded it and something happened. I closed something too fast and it just didn't save the recording. So I'm really hoping that I get this so I can start posting clips. So you guys can see my beautiful face. You guys can see my kneecaps, everything like that. Other than that, appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you had a good time, and I'll catch you next week.